Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Fernandez and welcome to my channel. I live to inspire mental health. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I post weekly videos about mental health and my experience with bipolar disorder. So with that, this week's video is going to be about my experience with anxiety, feeling paranoid, and my compulsive thoughts. So if you've been watching my channel for a long time, or if you've watched my first video specifically, then you know I talk about my experience with bipolar disorder, my diagnosis, the compulsive thoughts that I've gotten. But there are really specific things that happened to me that I probably happened to a lot of people while they're kind of in that episode. And I didn't realize that it was just a mind state until I got out of it. Until today that I look back at it and I'm like, that was not okay. And that was what my whole world felt like 24/7. So before, I've told you guys about, having these compulsive thoughts, and basically, that's part of OCD. And I've explained that with bipolar disorder, you sometimes can have traits of other types of mental illnesses, or you have bipolar disorder, you have depression, you have anxiety, you have some type of OCD in it. And that affected me for a really long time, in which I had a lot of compulsive thoughts about death, and if I didn't do something bad would happen, and all that kind of stuff. But not only that, there was moments I remember, I think this was 2 years ago now. There was a moment that for some reason I was having this anxiety attack, and it was very consistent. It was for quite a while actually, and I was paranoid. And I've never really talked about this, but I was paranoid to the point where I was afraid to sleep by myself. I was afraid to be in the apartment by myself. I thought I would hear stuff, but I wasn't hallucinating, but I thought I would hear things, and it wasn't anything. It was my thoughts were just rushing all the time. I would have nightmares. Well, sometimes nightmares still affect me, but I would have intense nightmares, and I would not be able to sleep, and I would just always be thinking that something bad is going to happen, or having to make sure the door is locked several times, even though I know it was already locked. And it was just very life-harming. I remember I was living by myself in college at that point, and I had a roommate, and she when she wasn't home, I would be showering, and I would turn off the shower, just because I was thinking that maybe somebody was there, somebody was saying something, and I was just it was no way of living. On top of actually having to deal with school and stress and all that kind of stuff, I was having these terrible thoughts. And then to add upon that, there was also these things that were happening to me, where whenever I was driving, I would have if I don't turn on the turning signal, something that's going to happen to me. And it was just very tormenting. I couldn't be places because I felt there was going to be a shooting. And these were all based on anxieties and compulsions that I felt doing. And I thought that those things were never going to end. But fortunately, I talked to my doctor, and he helped me through that, and he prescribed the right thing, or changed up some stuff. And also with therapy is how I started to fix those things. But going back to the whole thing, when I was showering and I was trying to sleep, it wasn't just I thought I was hearing things. It was there was this whole rush of thoughts of negative things. This is going to happen, this other bad stuff is going to happen, this, it was a mixture of guilt. I would start having thoughts of little things that I did in my life, and it would start to torment me. I would feel so guilty, and I didn't know what to do with that guilt. So it was eating me up at that time, at that point in time. So it was a very difficult time to just be there and be having to adult and being studying and all that kind of stuff, because in my head there was always something that was tormenting me, even though I might have seemed fine, and I probably wasn't even looking fine all the time, but I might have been seem fine, and then in my head I was thinking, I was having some pop-up thought about whatever it was, and it was a negative thing, I'm about to fall and die, or I'm gonna do this, or this is gonna happen to this person right now. It was all these things that are pretty scary, and Now, I rarely get those thoughts, but they do happen. The problem is, the thing is now, is that I do not give them the power I used to give them. But that takes a whole lot of brain training, and it took me years to get to where I am today. But I mean, I often think, I'm like, okay, like, having this mental illness obviously brings its things. No matter like if you're medicated, if you're like fine, there's always going to be these little things. And to this day, I don't even talk about like those small thoughts that I get, because I understand that they're either anxieties or they're just something. Like, I don't give them power, because if I do, then I'll be paranoid and I'll just get anxiety and stuff like that. Like, once in a while I might mention them, but I try to just, I've understood and I've made peace with myself that those thoughts are not me. That it's something else. It's not me. It's not the way that I feel. It's not the things that I want. Like, I don't want this bad stuff that I'm thinking to happen, obviously. So there's also that guilt of like, okay, I'm thinking this. Does that make me a terrible person? It's like, well, it's like, I don't want that to happen. So no, it's those compulsive thoughts that sometimes I can't control. But they're usually based on me feeling anxious or something happening, or like, you know, just being afraid or whatever reason, or sometimes they're just random. But what I do now is that I just don't give them the power that they want me to give them, because if I do, then I'll go back to the way I used to be. And that just takes time. It took time. I had to, you know, go to my therapist and talk about these thoughts. She had to explain to me that thing, like, you're not a bad human being because you're having these compulsive thoughts of like bad things happening. It's not like I'm saying like I want those things to happen. It's just like I'm afraid of those things happening. And then it was like going through that whole psychological process, and also, you know, being more stable and just understanding myself better, understanding why do I have those thoughts, and understanding to letting them go and not giving them power. So that's a little bit about it. I mean, I know I've talked about anxiety before, but I wanted to make a more detailed video about this point in time where I was having, you know, this extreme anxiety where I was paranoid all the time, and it was really affecting my life. And just the fact that I did overcome it, and if you're going through it, it's definitely possible to overcome it. So don't give up and search for help. So if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and share with somebody who you believe should watch this video. And always remember, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and a bad day does not mean a bad life.